All right, thank you so much for having me here again. Last year I got this fantastic platform and it really contributed to the success of our paper. And today I'm going to present the follow-up from the work of last year. So overall, this is around the human-AI collaboration for idea evaluation. So big shout out to all my collaborators from Harvard, Jackie and Charles, my amazing students at the University of Washington, Ian, Paystein, and Camilla, who really helped building the platform that we needed to build the experiment, and our fantastic partners, MIT Solve, that contributed to giving us some amazing data for challenges. So overall, I'm really passionate about how we can accelerate problem solving. And today, the talk will be about the early stage of innovation. So we want to know if generative AI can help us augment this process. And in particular, if you start with a challenge, a problem to solve, you may want a lot of ideas. You want to figure out which one would be great for you. And then humans, for instance, if you use crowdsourcing, could give you tons of solutions. And then now with the advent of generative AI, of course, it's becoming easier and easier to generate a lot of ideas to your problems. Some of those ideas sometimes are entirely AI generated. You just ask ChatGPT. Sometimes you collaborate with AI to enhance your solution. But then you have that many of them that it becomes extremely challenging to figure out which ones are maybe creative, useful, valuable, novel, as we just have in the previous talk. So it's very important to be able to screen, to evaluate the best solutions, the ones you should focus on, maybe the ones you should invest some money in or more attention. So last year, the work I presented was about the crowdless future, thinking about can we replace the crowd of humans by just prompting ChatGPT? And this year I will show how we can leverage a human-AI collaboration to evaluate at scale many ideas. So as a brief reminder of what I presented last year, we took an actual crowdsourcing challenge around circular economy. We compared solutions from a human crowd with about 120 submissions from humans that were high quality. We also prompted ChatGPT-4 with sophisticated prompt engineering to come up with solutions, and we compared the quality of the outcomes. So what we discovered is that the creativity, as defined in the previous talk, was similar for the two crowds. However, the value of the AI-generated solutions with human prompting was in general higher. But the novelty was really something human. And in particular, the highest novelty was always from the human crowd. So the current AI systems are still limited in their ability to give some really good novel solutions. They're very good at recombining knowledge, but going from 0 to 1 is still something challenging. So now going back to our study, we want to figure out how we can enhance this evaluation. And for this, we have a few questions we wanted to answer. The first one is about how using an AI recommendation to evaluate your idea might influence you differently, whether if it's to help you to evaluate the idea in terms of objective criteria or subjective criteria. And we investigated multiple modes of AI, a black box mode, and a mode where AI is giving you sort of an explanation of why it gave you this recommendation. In addition, we wanted to know if by engaging more with those AI recommendations, it would influence your behavior differently. Are you going to agree with AI? Are you going to override the AI decision? And finally, something very interesting that we saw is the emergence of the notion of AI expertise. So there is the notion of being a domain expert, but if you are also an AI expert, it may influence you differently in the evaluation stage. So to investigate all those questions, we collaborated with MIT Solve, which is a marketplace for ideas, and it turns out that they have a lot of funds to allocate, about $70 million in the past 10 years. And then they have dozens and dozens of challenges every year, receiving thousands of solutions. Their goal is to figure out which solutions they should fund and advertise more. And then they rely on human judgment to be able to evaluate this. So clearly that was a nice collaboration that was starting. They have all those challenges. They always change from year to year. And then everybody in the whole world is participating. They got this year, for instance, a huge amount of information, and screening is super overwhelming for them. Like this image, I generated it to visualize how when I generate tons of AI images, I feel overwhelmed by having all those things to check. And so this is the feeling. You have pages and pages of solutions, and you don't have much time. So really, there is an opportunity to leverage generative AI to help us in the process. So if we take overall the distribution of ideas, here I just put a Gaussian curve. Maybe typically there is a long tail. We want to figure out which ones we should screen out to eliminate. And we also want to be able to do some quality assessment. We want to figure out the very best ones. This year with ChatGPT, our partners MIT Solve told us that they saw a huge amount of ideas, like a surge of twice the number of ideas, but they also witnessed that the quality of the ideas overall decreased a little bit. It looks very good in English language, like it's much better written, everything looks impeccable, but it doesn't mean it's better quality overall. So it's even harder to figure out what's good or bad. And so coming back to this, our partners use different criteria to evaluate the quality of an idea. Some of them are objective, meaning it's something you can quantify, you can verify against some specific metrics. And others are also subjective. They involve your personal opinion. And maybe you will use your past experience, your expertise to figure out, okay, I think that this is a great idea. And you have those two types of criteria to be able to evaluate using generative AI. So here is our methodology to address this. We partnered with MIT Solve and developed with ChatGPT-4 a screener for the ideas. Then we layered a field experiment for the screening process with different treatment conditions. We deployed the large language model recommendations using a web app that we built ourselves. And finally, we worked on identifying the optimal form of human-AI collaboration. So the step one is building this large language model screener. Overall, what we did is prompt engineering ChatGPT-4 using chain of thought, so asking the model to specify how it comes up with its reasoning. We used few-shot prompting, meaning we took historical examples that were considered good according to different criteria or bad, so that the model has an idea of how to calibrate what's or good or bad. And then from this, we obtained from ChatGPT-4 screening recommendations for all the criteria actually used by the judges from MIT Solved. And we also asked ChatGPT to simulate, to generate a rationale, an explanation for why it made the decision. We are fully aware that this rationale is just a probabilistic generation. It does not translate an actual understanding of the model of the idea. It's just something that looks plausible to explain why the model generated that. So here are two examples of actual criteria used. One that is objective is this solution at least at the prototype stage? One that is subjective is this solution good enough that an external reviewer should take the time to read and score it? That's very subjective. And we wanted AI to assist in the process. So step two, we used an actual challenge completed this year. We selected 48 actual human solutions randomly. And then we asked human screeners to leverage the tool that we built. We used 4 different crowds. Some were experts, so actual judges from MIT Solve. Some were community screeners from the MIT Solve community. Some were my 120 students, so I gave them as a homework, you have to use the tool I built, and I used this as additional data. And thanks to this, we collected a lot of evaluations with different expertise level from the participants. Here is the platform we built. We customized everything such that we could collect the data, record the mouse clicks, also the engagement. Everything is also giving us some information. We have the solution application. It's typically from 3 to 10 pages of content. People have to answer a lot of questions. On the left, you have the actual screening criteria, and you can see what they mean by clicking on the little eye. And there, you have to input your screening decision as a human. So you have to decide if it passes all criteria, or if one is failed. So if you decide that one at least is failed, this solution will be failed. So you have to decide which one you want to fail. And we have 2 treatments. The one I just presented here is the control. No AI recommendation, it's just the platform. But then we also created one version where you have the recommendations from ChatGPT. So here, for instance, ChatGPT thinks the criterion 5 has been failed. You don't know why, you just know it's failed, according to this AI model. You do know that it's an AI recommendation, but you don't know how the how it was decided. And we have this other version where we also added a little explanation of why the model is thinking it's failing. Again, this is entirely AI generated. It does not necessarily translate to an actual meaning of how the model made a decision. This is entirely black box. But humans now have some content to grapple with and interact with. And we wanted to know how it influenced people. So here's the first result that we got. Overall, the AI was the harshest. And humans in the control group actually found the ideas were all pretty good. But if you use AI, because AI is harsher, it decreased the pass rate. So people were influenced clearly by AI and getting more aligned with what AI initially recommended. And we also investigated, depending on what AI recommended, how you were influenced. So if you look into if AI passes the solution, there is a little boost. People are going to be influenced into passing even more. If AI thinks the solution is failing according to an objective criteria, you can also see that suddenly there is a sharp decrease. Same for subjective criteria. But what you notice is there is not much difference whether you have explanations or not. But for subjective criteria, they are actually extremely persuasive. So if you have a little rationale that gives you a hint that you should fail, people were actually influenced much more if it was for a subjective criteria. So now we want to delve more into this. So we have tons of interesting tables. Here I will focus more on this specific information. We measured, thanks to our platform, all the clicks from the users and all their movements. So we have an idea of how much they engaged with every solution. And using this, we are now going to focus on those specific rows, and I want to derive some interesting insights. The first one is that the more the users were interacting with the solutions, the more likely they were to fail the solution, meaning they were becoming more critical. And by using the interviews that we conducted also with people, we're thinking that there is this new form of expertise in being able to effectively integrate and interpret the AI insights. Now, looking at this row, we're looking into the black box condition. So you just see the raw generation of pass or fail from the AI. And we notice that the users are very much likely to fail even more if AI is telling you that it fails according to something that is subjective. So how do we interpret this? We think that people tend to defer to AI much more likely if they don't have any suggestion from AI, but it's on something subjective. So they start trusting the AI that maybe I should just trust it. I don't know why, but I'm feeling influenced. However, if now you look into the influence of having the rationals, people are in fact more able to override the AI decision whenever it's about an objective criteria. So people are feeling more likely to be able to disagree with AI if they have a little rationale that they disagree with. And we think that they think, okay, I'm not sure if it passes or not. The argument from the AI does not make sense to me, so I'm actually going to override the decision. So we start really seeing some interesting patterns with objective and subjective. Quickly presenting this as well, we asked an external set of judges, professional judges, we had about 30 of them, to evaluate the quality in a separate manner of all the ideas to see if AI was really able to improve your quality of evaluations. What we noticed is that actually, if this is with black box AI recommendations, that you were able to outperform the humans only, and even the AI with the rationals. We saw that the rationals don't necessarily improve the quality of the evaluations. And in fact, just having a little recommendation increases the thought process of the people. And very interesting, the domain expertise did not have any significant impact in selecting higher quality solutions. So overall, as a conclusion, we could really see that AI was able to scale up expertise levels, whether you were very experienced with evaluating these ideas or not. But if you have those AI rationales, it's going to be highly persuasive. And we are thinking that if you want to use a human-AI collaboration, You can use generative AI much more if it's for something objective to automate. And for whatever is subjective, it's much more about a human-AI integration. So you would need to design the proper interaction with the two. And we are seeing this very interesting AI interaction expertise that allows you to critically engage with AI. And as a final graph, I want to show you that maybe the human, if you have only humans, their value is very high to evaluate something that is very subjective. If you have this AI ghost evaluator, maybe sort of to replace you, the more subjective it is, the more it's harder to trust those conditions and maybe to rely on them. But if you have this AI sounding board to give you some feedback, this is where you have a lot of value there. And there is a lot of probably exciting research into designing this AI interaction expertise and those AIs in the loop. I want to conclude in saying that I have a lot of cool materials about generative AI that are open source. So I create a lot of lectures. I always use the latest tools available, trying to create workshops. Yesterday, Replit just released a new multi-agent system to help you code from scratch different websites, brand new. I played a little bit with it. It's super good, so I'm going to create a video about it and put it there. And I keep pushing more and more for creative usage of the tools in the classroom so that the students can also learn so much more. I want to thank again all the amazing team members and thank all of you for being here with me. Thank you.
All right, our first question.
As you transition from this black box AI to the other narrative AI, your studies are all between subjects design, I suspect, and they're randomized, right? What do you think will happen if you do within subjects?
So can you clarify what you mean by within subjects?
Within
here?
subjects, the same subject sees both the black box and the narrative.
Okay, so you know what? We are running this in 10 days. So I'm going to get a new cohort of students, and we are going to run that where we are going to investigate even more about this AI expertise. Because right now, they're all separate. Every person is seeing first one of the conditions, and second, another condition. So first of all, you evaluate maybe 10 ideas in control, and then 10 ideas in narrative AI. Or maybe 10 ideas in narrative AI, and then 10 ideas in black box. So we randomized all the sequence, so people also have this aspect. However, the sequence did not matter. There is no effect, no significant effect over the sequence.
Any other questions?
This is such a great talk. I love it. I might have missed it. What do the judge, like, where did you find the judges? What kind of background do they have?
So we have 4 cohorts, and one cohort is about 30 judges that every year their job is to evaluate the submissions from MIT Solve. So we asked those judges to evaluate. That was one crowd. We had another crowd where those people are typically helping MIT Solve whenever they're overwhelmed, or from year to year, they volunteer time to help them screen solutions. So that was another crowd with about 30 people. Then we had 120 students from the information systems major from the University of Washington. And then we had 30 students from all over the world who dream to go to Harvard, and there is this program called Aspire's Leaders Program. And so we gave them a workshop, and they had to do the little experiment at the end.
It's really cool. I wonder if there's any track record of them making successful investment or something that shows that they actually have that expertise.
Absolutely. So we have a questionnaire and survey to ask them about different expertise. We also think about evaluating the quality of the solutions in the long run, because MIT Solve has been there for 10 years. They give a lot of fundings, which means if we go back to maybe 5 or 6 years ago, we now have an ability to see how those companies have been doing today. So that's data that we haven't leveraged so far, but a nice opportunity.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.